I'm streaming again. Um, I just can't quit this project. I keep wanting to do more. Uh, going to be working on the app services. I'm sorry, the Azure Functions project again, uh, with the goal of starting some solid work on the ARM templates so that we can do some idempotent deployments of the application's infrastructure along with the application code. So this can be a completely contained project that basically can be copy pasted and deployed by anybody else, uh, assuming that they've set all the right things. But what uh, what I've got in store is just to work on the ARM templates, and I've already started working on them, and I didn't think ahead to actually start streaming while I was doing it, and frankly, it was a little embarrassing because I didn't know what I was doing for most of this. So I've been digging around, doing lots of Google searching. It would have been kind of boring to watch, but I'm starting to make some progress on it. And I figured that streaming now would be a good idea. Um, want to take care of something right quick on my stream. Just need to update the title here because it's wrong. Okay. And let's add some stuff here. Just a few things that I should have done before I started, but we'll get there. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's get rid of this logo and start looking at what I'm doing here. Um, so I have been working on this ARM template, and basically, uh, this is going to be the deployment template, and this is going to be the parameters template. And I like to keep configuration data over here, and then the actual like deployment stuff here. So the way that I kind of do this is I want to take very few things in. This is kind of a thing that I learned at PowerShell Summit last year from Will's talk on ARM templates, is that to basically take in very few choices from the user. Hi, Chris. Uh, the goal of that is to kind of take away the decisions so that there's less for the user to break, right? So we can basically change the configuration inside the parameters file and make pretty constant changes to that, updating settings as we need to go. But the changes inside the deployment edition should be very minimal because the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure shape won't change that dramatically in theory, um, at least for the life cycle of the application. So with that in mind, I have a kind of way that I uh, kind of devised of doing this on my own. It's a little weird in the way that um, I do this, at least from the perspective of other people who've looked at my ARM templates. So I don't know, maybe this gives somebody some perspective on what to do, but I have a pretty steadfast rule that in the resources section, you never reference a parameter and you never perform any kind of logic. So there shouldn't be any kind of concatenates or anything in that. I'd rather keep that all condensed to the variables section. So even if we're taking just a raw parameter and passing it into something, we still take the parameter like function name and convert it into a variable called the same thing, function name. And then in the resources, we only refer to the variables. And that allows us to keep the resources pretty tight and unchanged over time. And we can make changes to the variables that will affect the outcome of what various names and decisions are being made. So that's the goal. Where I started with this is that I went into the console. Let's get the Firefox up here, go to it. So I went and just got the automation script for the um, uh, current resource group. And I was like, this is a good starting point. You can't really ever just take this and deploy it. And usually it's kind of crap. Like it doesn't exactly go out in a way that would make sense. So all I've really been doing is kind of prepping it. So I went through the parameters and there was a ton on here. And I removed most of them and already updated their references down in the resources body. And then replaced them with my own. So the parameters that this is going to take in, howdy, the parameters is going to take in as a function name. As a function name, and this is going to be used for a lot of stuff. So in my current one, it'd be Twitch stream notifications is the function name. So this will be reused in a lot of different places, and even manipulated and used in other places. But it's kind of the defining piece of the entire application. The other thing that it takes in is a location, but it's going to be optional because the default will pull in from the resource group location if it's not provided. And then secrets is an array of secret names. So in the parameters JSON, you can kind of see this here, where it's just an array of objects that have a name property with the name of the secret. So these are the names of secrets in the vault, not the actual secrets themselves. So you don't actually deploy the secrets in the ARM template. You just deploy the underlying infrastructure for the secret and then you set it. At least that's what I think. We're going to find out how well that actually works. I might have to shake up how I was doing the stuff. So my primary use for Key Vault in the first place is for application settings. So many of my application settings pull directly out of Key Vault, and I'm using, I'm not even showing VS Code. That's helpful. So this is what I was talking about, the names. So these are just the secret names, but they're not actual secrets. So they're just the secret's variable name, I guess, if you're talking about Key Vault. But anyways, I might have to shake up how this is architected and have two resource groups, and one resource group being the Key Vault that is like always, just doesn't change, right? Like I don't worry about making infrastructure as code. I just make an assumption that you have a Key Vault and you have to set the right app settings for it. So that might be something that I do. Just kind of depends on how this works as I'm testing. So the other thing that I'm going to be taking in as a parameter is app settings, and this is just going to be an array of app settings, and they're going to have like should be name and value. So this will be like I guess there's somewhere down in here, but anyways, I mean they're just the app settings that you would normally deploy with the web app. So like function, whatever. If I go to the Firefox and go into the function, this will make more sense if you don't know what I'm talking about. In application settings. So basically it's just a key value pair, right? Like, so I'll have one called Twitch stream activity, Twitch stream storage, Twitch subscribe queue. I'll have to have all of these, right? They'll all be important. So we'll have to do some manipulation there. I might have to do that definitely offline when I'm setting that up. It won't be too important to start with. The one thing is the key bindings, so we'll have to look at see how that's done for the function app, see how it binds into the storage key, and might have to do something special there. But we'll see. Uh, so I've got this kind of worked up. So that's enough of the parameters. Let me get back into VS Code here. Uh, that's a kind of enough of the parameters. That not really a whole lot to them. So the variables is where I like to do most of my logic at. So uh, like I said, the function name parameter comes in, but in the resources, I'm only ever going to call the variable function name. And here I'm just basically transforming the parameters function name into the variables function name. And then doing the same with app settings and the same with secrets. For key vault name, I need to, thanks for the follow. That's awesome. Um, For the key vault name, I need to look up to see what the max length for the key vault name is. Um, I'm having a hard time finding hard facts about what the maximum length for names are. Uh, but one thing that I do want to do is I'm just going to play with this as being concat. So basically concatenate uh, parameters function name. Instead, that needs to be variables function name, because after the variable is defined, we never use the parameter again. Um, at least that's my philosophy on this. So taking the variable name, the function name, and I'm basically going to append kv to it. So that will basically be whatever I pass in as the function name with kv at the end. So not extremely like important for anything, but a little helps a little bit. Like the icons in the thing. Let me see. The icons for the the function and the key vault are a little too close for my comfort. Like they look so close, so it's easier for me if they have some kind of different name. Although in theory they could have the same name. I just like to have them different, so that's my own preference playing here. So the next thing that I do is I'm building a storage name part, and that's going to be part of the name. So my idea is that I'm going to take the function name and I'm going to take the first 10 characters of it. So I have to do some math because you can't just call substring on it and get that. It'll error if the string happens to be smaller than what you're trying to pull. So you have to do some trickery here where you do if it's greater than, if the length of the function name is greater than 10, then do a substring of the function name from 0 to 10. Else, just use the variable function name. So if I have like a 5-character function name, then it'll just return the function name. But if I have a like 20-character function name, which is apparently legal, it would take the first 10 characters. And the reason why I'm taking 10 is that I want to apply the unique string to the storage name. The storage name has to be globally unique, and that could be a pain. So I'd rather just take the name, first 10 characters of it, and then apply unique string based on the resource group ID. So unique string returns a 13 character string that's based off a hash algorithm on the resource group ID. So we basically combine that and we get a hopefully globally unique storage name. Location, like I said, we passed in the location as a parameter, but I want to redo it as a variable here. And one thing that I want to do it is kind of transform it. I want to look to see if the what was passed in was empty, and if it is, I'm going to use the resource group location, and if not, I'm just going to use the location that was passed in as a parameter. I think you can set the default value on location up here to that, but I didn't want to risk it. I know that this works for sure, so I just wanted to do it this way. Um, there is a string that down here later that was concat like a lot of stuff that came base in there. So basically, it's building failure anomalies dash and then the function name, and it's part of app insights or something like that. We'll probably create a bunch of these because, like I said, I don't like any kind of logic down in the resource section. Site name is basically taking two lower of the function name, so taking whatever's passed in for the function name and making it all lowercase. Um, and then for the host name binding, I'm basically taking the site name and applying .azurewebsites.net. So that's the beginnings pieces of here. It's a lot of cleanup from the if we look at the automation script again, let it generate, just show you like the difference here. Like, thanks for the follow. This parameter section, like, look at it, it's just filled with junk, like deployment names. I don't need this. Secrets names, I can pass that in as a single object. This was that alerts failure anomaly thing. I mean, look at that parameter name. That's just atrocious. So anyways, and it also had like 0 variables. So that versus this is what I've kind of condensed that to. So the next phase that I'm working on, and I thought would be a good idea to just go ahead and start streaming, is this resources body. So I'm going to have to go through it and find wherever they're doing any kind of logic and create a variable where possible. I'm going to have to do some looping down in here because they had some like static stuff. Hidden link. That's really weird. What even is this? That's crazy. I can't even subscriptions, resource groups. It's going to be rough. I haven't done a lot of these resources. I'm a little bit more familiar with deploying IaaS resources than I am with PaaS resources at this point. So there's going to be a lot of stumbling around in the dark for this, but it appears that there is a tag that's applied to this that we can probably adjust. So we have to do some work to make that happen though. So this needs to be a variable though. So this is part of alert rules. So it's a Microsoft Insights alert rules. And I guess the first thing that I can do on this is remove this comment. It's not true anymore. So we need to turn this tag into a variable. And hopefully that works on the name side of a tag. We'll see. So this is a hidden link tag name. I'm going to paste this in there and we're going to have to change it. So subscriptions, subscription ID, we need to dynamically add in. So we should be able to get that in here. So we're going to start out with doing concat And did that like tear that up? It certainly did. So we're gonna wrap this up here, and then do at the end just to get that ready. So I need to be careful and not do tab completion on this because it kills the end of the string, which is kind of weird. But we need to do this and another thing here, and then do subscription dot ID. And then resource groups, this should be resource group name. So we need to get rid of that. I have no clue what this tag does, but I'm going to try to preserve it. It might do some voodoo magic in the Azure function, like providing some link on the screen or something like that. And I might miss out on that if I don't include it. So this was the name of the resource group. I think ID is actually right, but I'm going to just put name just to be there, and components. And this should be function name. Variable variables function name. Do another one of those. So basically I'm building this tag name from this, and now I should be able to replace this in here with and all right, so that's a little bit better. I have no clue if this is providing me anything that I can actually reuse. But maybe we'll see. It'll definitely error out on deployments if it's not something I can reuse. I would decode this. Well, I guess I don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decode this where you can't see it, and see if it's. I'm betting that it's like XML or JSON. Well, it looks like base 64, but it looks like it's binary underneath, or that, or it's not using UTF-8. Oh no, it's okay, I see. It's some JSON. Yeah. It doesn't look like it's any kind of secret or anything, so that's fine. And it looks generic. So that's fine. There's just a bunch of weird characters in it. Greater than threshold 2, window size, I guess that's fine. That's good. Actions, we're good there. So Yeah, so this is fine. Can't do this down in the, you can't do resource ID lookup in the variable section. So it's fine to leave these kinds of things in the resources section, um, so long as you're using variables for this. So that one looks good. So on to the next resource. This is Microsoft Insight Components. It's probably complaining about this. So one thing that I learned about ARM templates is you often have to put the API before you put the type. As some APIs don't support this, but we'll see. Location West US 2. So we want to use the location from the thing here. So variables. It's not even consistent when it generates the automatically generates the ARM template for you for your deployment script. Uh, it's like sometimes it creates like a bunch of parameters. Sometimes it puts it all like down there. And location is one of those ones where it flip-flops. It's like sometimes I'm just going to put this static, and then other times I'm going to have a parameter that I call, and then other times I'm going to perform logic. So it's just like very inconsistent about how it does it. So I'm wondering if this is the exact same thing. It looks like it is. Yeah. So I can just replace that with variables. And this is the hidden link tag name variable. I'll just keep that theme going there. I'm okay with that being the way it is. All right, so on to the next resource. So this resource is the key vault. Use the key vault name here. Location again needs to be the variables. Let me see if there's some other location West US 2. Let me just do a search and replace on these. Oh, have to fix a snafu in the thing here. There we go. Replace that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse these ones that I've completed. So now we're working on the key vault here. We're getting the location and tags. I'm not passing any tags because I'm a baller like that. Tenant ID. This should be a variable, which I should get up here. Not variables. This should be subscription.tenantID. don't think there's anything off of that. No, that's it. Uh, so rather than have this hard-coded in here, we will use a variable of tenant ID. We'll do the same thing down here. Now I'm not sure what this object ID. This is an access policy. Got it. This one's rough because I don't know how to do the access policy for the. So these are access policies for the users that need to be in there. So this is probably something I need to actually pass in as configuration. So instead of doing them in here, I probably just need to take an array of access policies in. And do, so up here, we need to add another, under secrets would be a good place for this. Key vault access policies. Type array. And then over here, I need to create a new entry for this. And I'm going to basically cut these out for now. And update them later. Because these are what define that I have access, but the most important one of these is going to be getting the hold on a second. The most important thing is going to be finding out the ones, figuring out how to let the MSI have access to the key vault as part of the deployment. So that'll be entertaining to figure out if it's even possible. That might be something that just has to be done post-deployment every time, which would be painful. But for now, I can get this tenant ID out of here. And then basically copy. So let me see if I can, yeah. Let's do paste. Not the most awesome way to do that, but it'll do for now. So here I need to take my key vault policies parameter and transform that into a variable. This was key parameters. Parameters. Let me pick. It's like not letting me do tab completion. Probably because I'm typing it wrong. All right, screw that. Just copy paste. All right. I spell parameters right? Yeah. All right. And the access policies on that then need to be that variable. Vault access policies. Enable for deployment, enable for disk encryption, enable for template deployment. False. Okay. So that's the key vault. So the next thing they're deploying is the storage account. So I'm not going to change any of their settings to try to optimize or anything because it's usually pretty good for the Azure functions. They usually pick decent stuff. All right, so this string is maximum of 24 characters. Is that because this is literally maximum of 24 characters? Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I've got a squiggly here because it says that the storage name is longer than 24 characters, but it's because the actual string inside of here, not the expanded string that we're using, is longer than 24 characters. So that's entertaining there. Because this is 26 characters. Looking at this. Variable location app service. So that one looks good. Can collapse that resource. Get rid of the comment here. So this is the server farms, whatever that is, kind function apps. So this was a plan name that was in there. I'm just going to use the function name because that seems like, why not? I should probably actually function name and no, we'll just do function name. And we'll do the same thing down here in this name. I'm going to give it something different. I think that it needs to be slightly unique. So this is a service plan, right? Is what it is. So I'm going to concat the function name with thanks for the follow, appreciate it. I'm going to concat function name with service plan. and use that. So change this here. Doesn't have to be global unique, but I think that I can't just reuse the function name there, because I think that the deployment name will overlap it and all other kinds of stuff. So I think it's slightly important that it's different. There's nothing else really interesting on that one, so get rid of that one. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So we're going to get rid of this comment as it's no longer valid. So this is their launching the site in a function app kind. The name is function name, API version, location, identity. So this is probably how it works. So I think what I have to do is like use a user assigned identity here, create the identity manually in Azure AD, and then use that here. So that should be a configuration value. So I'm going to do site identity as a parameter. So this was that piece about the MSI that I was talking about earlier that I wasn't exactly sure how it works, but that looks exactly like how it works. Value equals, this is going to be an object, and it's going to just be this exact object here. So I'm going to cut this out here, paste this in here. And then I have to do some boot up here. Underneath this one, we're gonna add the site identity parameter of type object, and I need to add some descriptions for these later, but I have to do down here. Why is this complaining about parameters and site identity? It's still not letting me do. Something's messed up here. Undefined variable reference function name. What? Okay. Might have to restart the VS Code here. It's definitely acting strange. I have the I constantly, like, parameters is like the hardest word in the entire English language for me to type for whatever reason. I always mess that up. Yeah, whatever. You can it's definitely used. It's right there. um, Anyways, it's probably just all messed up because I've got Bull's uh, site identity. All right, so now I pass that in as a configuration option to that uh, instead of doing it here because it looks like that's not a possibility. So they're doing some logic down here in the hostname SSL. So this was part of a copy, a search and replace operation that got actually populated. But this, oh come on. So that's the site name, and that's hostname binding, right? Azure, yes. So this one's actually name. That's weird. It's basically combining the function name and the binding. Let me look at the original one and see what it was doing in there. For whatever reason, this is just wild to me. So we're down into the past the storage account, past the storage, we're in the site. Yeah. Okay, that's what it has. That's really weird. It's like concatenating the name of the thing, but anyways, it's fine. I'm not gonna argue with their logic. It's more fun to just let it fail and then say it was their fault. Variables, and this one is host name binding. And the other one that I need is a, so I also want to get rid of this. This should be, so this needs to get moved up here and become a variable, so I don't like logic down in here. So this is hostname SSL states. So we can just go directly with that one, change this to a variable. And then I need a new hostname binding SCM, and this one is SCM dot. Oops, did the wrong one there. And replace this with a variable then. All right, so the next thing it's doing is a resource ID lookup. But this is the plan name. Hmm. That's interesting. Like there was another alert that just went out for the this stream. So either it somehow picked up a new stream ID, like either stream stopped and restarted, or I've got a bug in my code to prevent duplicate messages for the same stream. That's sad. That makes Mark a sad panda. But that's a problem for another time. For now, everyone can enjoy my notification spam, and maybe I'll get more people to come and see the stream. Okay. So this one we replaced with service plan name variable. So we can do a search replace operation on that. Variables, service plan name. And I spelt it just as badly, typed it just as badly this time around as I did when I first created the variable. So that's cute. All right. So looks like I've got all the logic out of this resource now. Save that up. Rid of this comment here, which is no longer relevant. So this is secrets. So this is going to loop. We're going to have to loop several of these secrets. And that's going to be fun. So we're going to have to add a copy in here. And we're going to do, the name of the copy is key vault secret loop. Is a name that we need to do. Name. And then the count. So since I just learned how this works in ARM templates this week, I had a vague idea. I knew that you used this copy command, but I had never really actually done it. So I figure I might as well spend some time explaining that to anybody who might be watching who doesn't know. So the way that you can create multiple items. So to give you an idea here, we're going to be deploying these secrets. Now, it's just the name of the secret that you deploy. It's basically a container that holds the secret. So it's like a variable name. So function code is obviously is not the secret. That's the name of the secret. So we're going to have to deploy several of these. And I'm passing in an array of these with the name in it. And I need to basically deploy all these, but instead of like manually creating each one of those in here, which was what was done in the auto-generated one, like you can see like there's these vault secret, vault secret, vault secret, vault secret. Who cares, right? That's ridiculous. So we can do this with a copy loop, and the way that works is you inside the resource you define copy. It needs a name, a mode, which your mode is serial or parallel, I believe. Yeah. So I'm going to do parallel because they don't have to run one after another. It's fine for all of them to deploy at once. But if I did serial, they would deploy one after another. And then a count. And the count on this is going to be the length of variable secrets. So length will give you both the length of a string and the number of objects in an array. Uh, Here's the thing. If I pass in 0 secrets, this will fail. So I need to do another thing here, and that is to add a condition and then some logic. So this is another thing that I learned this week with some help from Chris Halbrad on this. So we want to conditionally run this if the if let's see, let's just do greater. If the length returns in the number of elements in an array or the number of characters in a string. Length of variables it's called secrets. So if the length of the variable if there's more than 0 secrets, then we want to run this. Otherwise, we won't run this. The other thing you have to do then is like, that's all well and good, but if you were to pass in, like, if I were to basically have no secrets in here, so if I was to do this, right, pass that in, it would fail still, even though the condition says, don't run this unless there's more than 0 secrets passed in. It would still fail. So what you have to do here is on the count inside the copy, you need to do some logic. If length, so basically we're going to copy the same exact logic. So if length of the variable is greater than 0, then return the length of the variable, else return 1. This is the stupidest thing. So you have to say that this is going to be greater than 1. I said Chris, and then Halbrad is kind of like people know him more than that. I don't know. Chris Gardner, for anyone who doesn't want to give me crap about not using his last name. So anyways, this was something that like me and Chris like came up with on the fly here to kind of work through. So the way it works is that the condition will only run if it's greater than true, if it's greater than 0 items in the array. But the count, you still have to return 1 if the array is less than 0, is less than 1. It still won't run, but if the pre-validation sees that this is 0, when you try to check it, it won't even go. It won't pass the pre-flight checks. So this gets around that kind of stupidity. The condition will still fail, but the count gets applied, evaluated before the condition does. So what we have to do up here is get the index of the variables. So I am not 100% remembering how to do this, so I'm just going to look up the documentation on it. Like I said, I just learned this week. ARM copy, let's see, Azure ARM copy index. Okay, so that's how you do it. You take the variable and then in brackets after it, get the index of it. So we're going to replace this with catting here, so that's good. The variables dot secrets copy index, I believe. Dot name. All right, so and then I need this other thing there. All right. So what this does is it gets the variables secret, which is an array, and it indexes into it at the copy index. So basically the name of this is going to be iterated from this name list over here. That's the general idea of it. And then what I can do is I can get rid of any of these other vault secrets that are here. So this is a vault secret. 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 This one's a vault secret. This one's a vault secret. That one's a vault secret. So many vault secrets. All right. So I can just get rid of those and save myself a lot of pain there. So that's that. That's basically creating one key vault secret with this name from this array of key vault names, basically, or key vault secret names. So this is weird. I left this in a weird state. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. That's why. Up here. All right, there we go. Too many key vault secrets. I made the change on the wrong one there. Made the one on the change below it. So copy runs here. We're doing some voodoo magic to make that pass the validation check, even though we're only going to run it if that's greater than 0, and then does that. So that's my way of doing multiple resources that I just discovered this week that's working pretty decently, in my opinion, so far. If somebody has better suggestions, please, please, please let me know, because I think that that is just a ridiculous workaround. I must be missing something obvious. All right, so this one, they are creating the site config. So kind of like gonna just let it roll with what it has there. Publishing username. Wonder if I actually get to set that, but we're gonna We're going to create it as a variable because that's definitely not something that should be hard coded down there with the this is going to be concat $, variables, function name, and now we're gonna use that variable down there. This probably has a username length restriction like most systems do, but we'll just pretend that that's not it. So SCM type is VSTSRM. That's what I'm using. Manage pipeline mode integrated. Virtual path. Design last. Load balancing. Least request. Routing rules. VNet name. Site auth settings. This is giving me incorrect type on these. I hope those are nullable strings, and they just don't have the piece right. Otherwise, we're going to get plenty right. I know the first time that I try to deploy this, it's just going to be like a solid screen of red disappointment and hatred, like just letting me know how inefficient and insufficient I am at doing ARM templates. But hey, what do I know? I thought about doing this another way and taking like their example function app ARM template and working from that because it's much cleaner and much leaner. But looking at it, like it was all geared around V1 function apps, and I didn't want to risk that there was just too much difference between any of those to actually work. So where were the app settings set at? They like had all of those in the huh, that's weird. The app settings aren't listed in here. Unless I'm already took care of that. Did I? Let me see. App settings. Deployment type and expression. Close. Must start with the function. Okay. I think they go in here, but they have this as null. Let me look at the generated one for reference again. As I remember seeing the app settings in the and maybe they're not. Let's see. Twitch notification. Nope. Because that's a good one. There should be both an app setting for it and that. Good fun. So Going back into VS Code. I'm gonna get this type here, which is websites config. Firefox. Yeah, it's just a name value pair. Yeah. So I should just be able to pass in the app settings. And then I'll have to go through and add all of my app settings in there. So type config app settings should take variables app settings. Because we pass that in from here, which will define as like a list of name and value, which I wasn't even on the thing. So app settings, name and value. That's the way that it's supposed to look. And then in VS Code here, we're just setting app settings to the variable app settings, which gets set from the parameter app settings. So we're just passing through there, and the parameter app settings is an array, and the app settings in the thing here is just an array of name value pairs. So that should work. I'll have to populate that out and make sure I've got all the secrets that are usually created by the Azure functions by default. They have secrets that get stored in there, and I need to make sure that those are in the key vault and then pulled over. Yeah, so the configuration one looks like it's good. It's complaining here about name. It's just because it doesn't understand that this is generated. Number of workers. Does he expect a string for a number of workers? That's cute. Like, if I go back here and I do number of workers, integer, stale schema. That's right. I give it props for trying. Again, I might need to move the API version up here just to. All right. So that's the gist of the config there. I don't see anything else that looks like we need to move it out as a variable or anything. There's no other logic being done there, so we're good there. This host bindings I kind of already played with earlier to set right, so it's already done. There was another thing in here, like there was a whole bunch of deployments. So like if I go back to Firefox and I show the ARM template here. At the end here, there's like all these deployments that had run, and I'm like, I don't need that information. Like, it's nice to have, but if I'm deploying the infrastructure every single time along with the application, then it'll have just the most recent one in there, and we're not using the deployment uh, um, console to manage deployments for the site. We're using Azure DevOps pipelines for that, so uh, it's not the correct management plane. So what I need to do now is I need to go through my app settings, fill out that. I want to do that offline because I'd have to have it off screen anyways. So there's no point in streaming while I'm having you guys stare at random pictures and silently copy and pasting. So with that, I'm gonna drop off for now. I might be back on later once I get everything done and do it, although uh, it's like 5-ish, so maybe not. Maybe I won't be back on tonight. But anyways, thanks for watching and hope to see you back.